So this evening, I'm going to start in banana pose. Really easy one. For this, you just need a bit of space behind. So I'm going to have to move my mat around a little bit because I haven't got as much space as I thought I had. And then we're going to lie down on the floor. It's as easy as that. Now, although I've got a bolster, a brick and a block, I'm going to move the bolster out to the side so it's going to allow me to do a staggered twist when I'm lying on the floor in about 10 minutes time without having to move around. So just a little bit of space to the sides and then lying down gently. Just use your hands to ease yourself in. Get a nice long flat back. If you have got sort of quite thick pair of trousers and the sort of waistband is digging into your spine already when you're lying on the floor, you need to lift your bum and pull your trousers up or down so you're not sitting on that, because otherwise it's just going to press into your sacrum. That will be very uncomfortable and might actually not do you too much good either. So once you're settled and your back is very long and flat and your neck is nicely relaxed, we'll walk the toes out to the end of the mat and we'll keep the toes together. I'll take the hands out towards my waist and then just bring the hands lightly together and interlace the fingers lightly, or you can hold on to one wrist at a time, but I find the center works just as well. I'm going to take a little breath and start to bring the shoulders over towards the left side, and then once I'm settled and the shoulders have relaxed a little bit, so the hands do want to be touching the floor, so taking some of the pressure out of the shoulders so they can relax. And then I'm going to move the legs over towards the right side as well. Sorry, same side as the arms, going left and left. Now you can, if you want to, pick up your right leg in my case and cross that over at the ankles. But if that feels like it's too much of a pull in your lower back, especially around your sciatic nerve, which you've had problems with that in the past, you'll definitely know where it is. Then just bring the legs back again so that both feet are on the floor. Once you try and have the shoulders and the hips flat to the ground, let the head turn in a little bit as well. And I try and have a nice relaxed breath. I want to be able to feel the stretch down the side of the body. I want to feel like something's opening up. But other than that, pretty neutral. I try my best to start off by relaxing my belly and my back. And then when I think I've mastered that, I can take my attention into my shoulders and also sort of the top of the shoulders, the deltoids, the traps around the neck and across the chest, the pectoral muscles, which might not seem obvious to think about trying to release those, but they are being stretched out significantly. So inherently, they'll be holding some tension. I would always suggest that you keep your head very much on the ground. You don't look around or lift the head to look at the screen. I do lift my head. If you look at this video afterwards, you'll notice I do, but that's just to keep a check on how long we've actually been sitting in the pose. And if I didn't know my neck could take it, I certainly wouldn't do it. Even so, that said, it's still not a great idea to do. You can imagine how congested the nerve endings are around the neck. Putting yourself into positions that you don't need to be in isn't really the most sensible thing you can do. Ultimately, we're here to try and look after our bodies and make them feel a little bit more comfortable, a little healthier. give our autoimmune systems a little bit of a boost. Let our brain chemistry settle a little bit so we can feel a little calmer. I'm going to slowly untangle my legs and bring them back to where I think the center line is. Wriggle the shoulders back to where I think the center line is. And just take a pause there. You could move the arms around a little bit if you wanted to. If you're happy just keeping the hands interlaced, you can. We'll take a little breath in, bring the feet together. And I'm going to start to take my shoulders over towards the right side. So in this case, if you were wanting to hold on to the wrist, it would be the left wrist that you'd hold on to. Get a nice stretch out through the arms. Use the legs over when you're ready. And then just give it a 30 seconds or so before you decide to cross the ankles over. Normally when you move into a posture, there's sort of this 30, 40 seconds delay when the muscles are trying to work out whether they want to tighten up or relax because they're unused to the position you're in. So if you move straight into the full version, you sort of miss the opportunity to just gather whether everything is okay and it's sensible for you to move all the way. If you feel ready, you can then start to bring that leg across, or not as you feel. You don't have to do it both sides. You can mix and match. And then I'm going to start to untangle myself and come back to the center. Use the arms down by the side. Getting a little wriggle out. I'm actually going to take the block and place that under the back of the head this time. But that could always be a folded blanket or a cushion. Just make it a little more comfortable. I'm going to slide the heels along the body, along the floor to bring the knees in towards my body. And come into the stirrup pose, which to all intents and purposes looks like a happy baby. So we'll draw the knees in. Get a little bit of a wriggle out, make sure the spine feels nice and long. And then we're going to take hold of the sort of shin and ankle and allow ourselves to have the soles of the feet pointing to the sky. Just easing the knees down gently and letting the back sink into the floor, keeping a nice long neck. Now, obviously, if you find that your hips are very open and you can hold on to the little toe side of your foot with comfort and ease, then you can do. Not a problem. But if in the process of trying to make that grab, you find that you've lifted your lower back off the ground, you've raised your tailbone away from the floor, and your middle back has got a little more rounded, your shoulders have got a little extended, then you're probably going a little further than you need to. If you have a practice where you're used to going into happy baby, it can sort of give you a bit of a false positive feeling that, yeah, I do this, my body knows how it feels and it's comfortable. Maybe asking the question, or even taking a little time to bring the hands onto the ankles and shins and notice if your body feels different. No harm in taking that chance once. And if you find that it doesn't feel any different to the happy baby position, other than the fact that you're there for considerably longer than you normally would be, then you know you're okay. But sometimes our bodies can trick us a little bit, and we have to really be conscious about the inquiry and honest with what we're feeling. A couple of minutes. by anybody's book, that is a long hold. So we'll bring the feet down gently and release the fingers. Give them a little wriggle, maybe roll the wrists around a few times as well. And then we want to bring the feet in close to the bottom onto the center line. I'm going to take the arms out wide like a crucifix, so hands are in line with the chest, below the shoulder line, palms facing up. I'm going to let the legs roll over to my right to start with. Again, you can turn the head the opposite way. Just stretch out the fingers lightly to open the chest and the back of the shoulders. And let ourselves sink as deeply as possible. We're trying to slow the breath down a little more. Draw the legs back up. And then roll over to the opposite side when you're ready. In an effort to release the muscles around the belly, the side of the belly, into your lower back. See if the bottom leg can sink all the way to the ground. Quite okay for the top leg to hover if that's the natural position. I'll slowly bring the legs back up. Again, we need a little bit of time to sort of realign. And then knees in towards your body. I'm going to slowly roll over to the right side, using the hands to come underneath and bring myself back up to sitting. I'm going to come into deer pose. So I'm going to turn side on to the camera, so it's a little easier to see where I am. But just going to have the knees out in front of the block, and the bootlaces are sitting on top of the block itself. And then I'll take the feet over towards the right side, and I want to have my right shin bone pressing through the arch of the left foot on the bottom. So hopefully both knees are on the ground. If not, you're going to need your hand on the left pressed down to sort of bring your pelvis back more into neutral. Now, once we're in, I'm going to take that into a twist. So I'm going to twist across to the right, bringing the left hand around, taking hold of the thigh, and I'm going to just wrap the right arm around my body to the left side. So drawing the shoulder back a little bit. And again, trying to sit very upright. So if you've got this enormous curve in your spine and your sitting bones are miles away from the floor on one side, then forget about the twist and just bring your hands back to support. You can even use a brick underneath your hand. And you might find that your body sort of moves into this easier on one side than the other. And sometimes if you can't get your hand around the back onto the thigh out there, just sticking your hand into the waistband of your trousers help. Just brings you into the right place. Trying to rest that spine in as neutral position as we can to standing position would be for the pelvis and the spine. Obviously, we've got the rotation in the spine around its axis point. I'm going to release from the twist. Use the hands to come forward a little bit and tangling the feet. So again, just knees out ahead of the block with the bootlaces just sitting on top of the block. I find that a sort of comfortable place. My knees are about hip distance apart. Allow the feet to go over to the left, but sit back gently with control. Again, try and make sure both knees are on the ground, sitting bones close. I haven't got that sort of excessive amount of lean out to the side. So again, just giving it a little time for the body to sort of work out where the legs and feet need to be, get them comfortable. And then we'll take it into the twist the opposite side. So going over to the left with the right hand, and the rear hand coming around into the waistband if you wish. And then we can release from there as well. So going to just turn directions again so it's easier to see. We're going to come into caterpillar pose. I'm going to take a slightly modified version of that. I'm going to take the bolster underneath the back of the knees and have the feet a good hip distance apart and wriggle out onto the sitting bones. And then just simply let myself roll forwards into that pose. And we'll be here for a few minutes, so it will get tricky to breathe. If you do need to move out, you can do. And if you find that you can't feel the rounding stretch in your spine with the bolsters in this place, then you can move the bolsters out, maybe take some cushions, or you could have 2 bricks on the back of the thighs. So you've still got a little bit of a lift, but not quite so extreme. And if that still wasn't giving you anything, then you could take all the props away and just let the legs rest against the floor. I'm treating this much more as a forward bend, seated forward bend than a caterpillar pose, which would allow me to press the ribs a little bit towards the back of the mat. So this is more seated forwards in its texture. Even though the breath is constricted, there's something soporific about this pose. The feeling that you're going to drop off asleep in your yoga classes, but ever present, which gives you the ability to just show that little bit of alertness in the mind, resting in continually how the body feels, the space it's taking up. Are you moving into it or away from it? I'm going to start to let myself lift out of this nice and gently. And we're going to move into swan pose, which again kind of looks like pigeon pose, just slightly different emphasis in the posture. So we'll come up onto all fours and allow the knees to come together. Now I'm going to take my left knee to the outside of my left wrist, bring the heel under the groin, and just walk the right foot back to bring the groin and the heel together. Now you can stay up on the wrists, and that can become a little bit uncomfortable, so you might want to go on to knuckles. If you find that that's really putting a lot of compression into your lower back, then come down onto elbows, or you can bring the bolster in front and bring your elbows onto that. A little more comfortable on the elbow bones, and obviously gives you a different sort of broad opportunity for different levels to this to work. Now I am also letting the shoulders sort of lift up and round. So my chest is sinking, my belly is sinking, my hips are sinking. I'm trying to let the legs relax as much as possible. I'm going to be here for about 3 minutes in total. So if you do find that you know where you've chosen to settle becomes uncomfortable to the point where it's starting to affect your breath, and do allow yourself to move around and experiment. And again, it's one of those poses where you don't have to do exactly the same on each side. I'll move from here to the opposite side. The way that I like to come out this sometimes is just to actually roll over, in this case to the left, so dropping the left buttock all the way to the ground, and then using the hands to draw that right leg through to bring myself back up onto all fours again, so I can do the opposite side. So I'm starting with the knees together, underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders. Gonna slide the right knee out into the groin, walk back gently, just easing myself down and seeing where I get to. And begin to come out of that one. So just rolling gently onto the buttock, up to the right, bringing the leg through. And taking the legs out in front. Give them a little stake out. I'm going to come into half butterfly. So I'm going to use the block for this one. I'm going to move side on again. So it's a little easier to see where I'm going. Going to take the legs out nice and wide, so I just wriggle through the sitting bones, make sure the muscles feel nice and loose. And we're going to take the half butterfly version. So I'm going to bring the left heel in to the groin and just letting the right leg hang out to the side. Now we also want to slowly take the hands forwards and see where we get to. And we will eventually, once we sort of feel that we've gone as far as we can, slowly let the head hang down as well. Now you can just have the arms for support, not a problem. Or you could bring that bolster underneath and press that into your heart bone, so it's giving you end on sort of trunk, pushing down somewhat at an angle. Another option would bring the bolster across underneath you, so you can drop your elbows if that's within reach. Some people will just like to take their hands out in front, a little wider than the shoulders, let themselves hang down gently. Now, I do feel when I come into this that because we're doing half, my body tends to roll out to the left side, the side of the bent knee. So you want to press down into that left hand a little bit more. All means do. But another alternative is to take the hands out a little wider so you distribute the weights more evenly. We're trying to relax the legs and the spine completely. The more you relax in, the more tendency there is to feel like you're rolling out to the side. So the use of props becomes a little bit more necessary as we move towards those edges. So it is a very big stretch in the lower back. You want to be slow and easy with the breath and any movements. I find myself having to constantly re-relax my left leg. My right leg, strangely enough, although feeling like it's under more tension, is the one that I can sort of let ignore a little bit more. So lift my way back up slowly with my hands. And we'll do the second side. So just take our time to bring that leg in. And start to take the opposite leg out. And again, you can mix and match. So you can use props, not use props, different ways as you want to, from side to side. We'll take a little breath and start to let ourselves lean in gently. See where we get to. Just coming down nice and slow. There's a big stretch on those hamstrings. Let's start from there as well. Just drawing that leg in. We're going to take a straddle next. So we're going to take both legs out wide as you comfortably can. And if you're like me and you've got a hard floor that your heels are resting in, it can feel more comfortable to turn sideways to the mat so you can at least have your feet and your heels on something a little more comfortable. Now I'm taking the block out as well, so the legs are now flat to the floor. Taking a little bit of a lean forwards to start with, and then slowly turning over towards the right leg, bringing the hands either side. I'm just letting myself roll down now. Some people are going to be able to get their body flat onto their legs. Many of us won't. Now you're going to feel some very big stretching around the outside edges of your lower back. So allow yourself to move very slowly and breathe very slowly. For about 2.5 minutes total. I'm just trying to let everything relax and sink. You can see a little reason now into why caterpillar pose was slightly different this evening to the way I normally tackle it. Because I wanted to sort of prep the body a little bit more for this. Push slowly out from there with the hands that lift up, turning back to the center. One final side to play with. Again, just allow yourself to sit up and take a sort of 30-second breather for, in my case, my left side of my body to sort of feel like it's come back to life and feel similar to the way that the right side's feeling at the moment. 30 seconds doesn't take long, so I'm going to lean forwards a little bit and then slowly take my body out, so a lengthening chest over the thigh, and then the body sink in. It does feel very extreme in the legs. Very strange sensations from the nervous system. muscles releasing and contracting, normally without rhyme or reason. But it is all natural. It's to do with the body sort of easing in, moving deeper into the pose, and the nerve receptors picking that up, and sending out a few signals of their own. Another minute here. Concentrating on trying to let the body soften, the legs relax. It's easy words to use. It's so easy to practice. Let ourselves lift up. I'm going to bring myself into Shavasana, so back onto the mat. And I'm actually going to use the bolster underneath the back of the thighs, so feet out nice and wide. Now, if your back feels like it's tired, lower back particularly, then allow yourself to keep your knees a lot higher. Bring your knees together, roll the feet out to the edges of the mat. If you're happy to let your legs just rest on top of that bolster and the heels resting on the floor, then we can take our Shavasana from there. So we've got 5 minutes or so. So plenty of time to let the jaw release, the eyes soften, and let the muscles mellow a little bit. Let everything calm down and soften off. You do still need to be vigilant to the fact that your body might be holding tension in places that you didn't recognize. They're quite deep poses this evening, long holds. We'll begin to wriggle the fingers and the toes gently, breathing a little deeper. And then start to roll the wrists and the ankles. So we start to bring the nervous system and the body back together again. Very relaxed state, hopefully. We'll take some longer breaths in and then allow ourselves to have a bit of a stretch, whatever feels natural to do. And because I'm using the bolster, I'm going to slide one foot at a time over the bolster and then just use my feet to push the bolster away towards the very front of the mat. And then bring the feet to the floor and let the knees come in towards me carefully so I can take the hands around the shins. I'll begin to rock a little bit from side to side. It feels nice through the spine. So hopefully that's the same case for you. And then I'm going to take a breath in and see if I can time with an exhale. Just slowly roll over to the right side fully, and then the legs come down. And then turning the chest over to that side, bringing the hands underneath and using the exhale to press from the floor gently back up to sitting. And then sit in an easy posture, whatever that is for you. Wriggle to adjust. And then we'll bring the hands to the heart. Taking a longer breath here. Use the breath into an exhale, letting the chin drop and the eyes closed. And then feeling the belly drawn to the spine. We'll follow the bow to the floor, feeling our practice for the evening. On the inhale, letting the spine build again. And letting the head lift easily. Eyes open. Namaste. Very much for joining me this evening. Hope you enjoyed the long stretches and see you again on the mat soon.